I didn't think you could learn what betrayal tastes like. Not metaphorically, literally. Like metal in your mouth. Like panic. Like your throat turning into a locked door while your body keeps begging for air. I was 15 years old, on the living room rug, clawing at the fibers with both hands because my lungs had stopped cooperating. My rescue inhaler was right there on the coffee table, close enough to see, close enough to know I could live if I reached it. And my little sister stood between me and it. She held the inhaler up like a prize, not close enough to help, just close enough to prove she could. She leaned down until her face filled my blurry vision and whispered, so softly I almost thought I imagined it, "Try harder." You always try to steal the spotlight. Behind her, my parents watched from the couch. My mother didn't stand. My father didn't move. Nobody called 911. And then, like my life was just entertainment, my sister raised her phone and started recording. 15 years later, that exact clip played on a courtroom screen. The judge asked for quiet. My sister smiled like she still had control. And right before the video ended, something happened that none of us were prepared to see. My name is Lee Maddox. I'm 30 now. I live far away from where I grew up, and for most of my life, I believed silence was the only way to survive my family. Not because I was shy, because I learned early that speaking came with consequences. From the outside, our house looked like a brochure. Straight hedges, clean windows, seasonal wreaths, a porch that somehow always matched the time of year. My mother, Marjorie, ran that home like it was a brand, everything polished, everything curated, no mistakes, no mess, no drama. My father, Caleb, was the kind of man who didn't argue because he confused peace with the absence of noise. He believed if he never chose a side, nobody could blame him. He made himself small in his own house and called it being reasonable. And then there was my sister, Brielle, 2 years younger than me, the golden child, the one with the big personality, the bright smile, the talent for turning any room into an audience. She was spirited. She was sensitive. She was just going through a phase. She needed extra patience. Nobody ever talked about what I needed. Not once. At dinner, Brielle would talk about school or dance practice, and my parents would light up like someone turned on a lamp. If I started speaking, if I so much as opened my mouth, my mother's jaw would tighten. My father would glance down at his plate. The conversation would slide around me like I was furniture. By 14, I was an expert at disappearing without leaving the table. I stopped asking for help with homework, stopped inviting friends over, stopped telling them when teachers praised me, because every good thing I did got turned into a comparison. "That's nice, Lee. Brielle would have done it faster." Or, "Don't get a big head." Or my mother's favorite, "You always want attention, don't you?" People imagine abuse like screaming and bruises. Sometimes it's quieter than that. Sometimes it's clean. Sometimes it's administrative. It's the slow, deliberate way someone trains you to doubt your own needs until you don't recognize them as needs anymore. The only person who actually saw me was my grandmother, my dad's mom, Nana Jo. She smelled like lemon tea and old paperbacks. She listened like it was her job. When I spoke, she didn't correct my feelings. She didn't rewrite my memories. She didn't tell me I was being dramatic. She'd just nod and say, "That sounds lonely." Or, "That wasn't kind." Or when I was really struggling, "Your feelings are information. Don't let anyone steal them." Some weekends, I'd escape to her place. We'd bake. We'd de-watch old movies. She'd let me breathe like breathing wasn't something I had to earn. She was my proof that I wasn't crazy, and that mattered more than I knew at the time. The asthma thing happened on a Saturday. My parents had people over, neighbors, church friends, the kind of guests who thought my mother's life was perfect because she smiled the right way and folded napkins like she was staging a magazine shoot. I'd been having breathing trouble all week because spring pollen in that neighborhood was brutal, but my mom insisted I was fine. "I don't want you making a scene," she told me before guests arrived. "If you're going to do your drama, do it upstairs." That sentence hits different when you remember it later. That night, my chest tightened while I was refilling drinks in the kitchen. At first, I tried to breathe through it quietly, slow inhale, slow exhale, the way I'd been taught. but my lungs didn't care about technique. They started shutting down like someone was turning a dial. I stumbled into the living room because I knew my inhaler was on the coffee table. I reached for it. Brielle stepped in front of me. "Are you serious?" she said, loud enough that a couple guests looked over. "Don't do this." I couldn't answer, I couldn't form words. My throat was already clamping down. I reached again. She picked it up. And then she smiled. Not a normal smile, not a playful smile. A smile like she'd just found a new lever in a machine and realized it worked. She held the inhaler out, close enough for me to see the label, close enough for me to smell the plastic. Then she pulled it back. I dropped to my knees. My hands scraped the rug, searching, begging. And she tilted her head and said, in a voice meant for me alone, "Look at you, always needing something." Behind her, my mother sat still, expression unreadable. My father froze like he'd been unplugged. And then Brielle lifted her phone and started recording. I heard her giggle. I will never forget that giggle because it was the sound of someone enjoying power. My vision narrowed. The edges went dark. And then my mother finally spoke. Not help her. Not call 911. Not give it to her. She said, "Brielle, don't let her make your guests uncomfortable." That was the priority, not my airway, not my life, their image. I survived. Barely. One of the guests, thank God, was a nurse. She noticed what was happening and shouted for the inhaler like it was a weapon. Brielle dropped it like she'd been caught stealing. I took a dose. The nurse watched me until my color came back. And my mother, standing there with her perfect hair and perfect posture, laughed like it was all silly. "She has such a flair for the dramatic," she told everyone. Guests laughed politely. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Because I already knew the rule. If I reacted, I would become the problem. After everyone left, my father pulled me aside. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask if I was okay. He said, "You embarrassed your mother tonight." Then he walked away. That was the moment I learned something that shaped the next decade of my life. You can be dying in front of your own family and still be accused of doing it for attention. Over time, it got quieter. Not kinder, quieter. Things started disappearing. A birthday card from Nana Joe that never arrived. A voicemail she swore she didn't receive. An email from my school that was mysteriously lost. A photo of me on the family wall replaced by another one of Brielle. My mother would say, "I told you about that." Or, "You must have forgotten." Or, "I think you imagine slights because you want to feel special." The really dangerous part about that kind of upbringing is you start doing it to yourself. You start pre-gaslighting your own thoughts. You start shrinking your needs before anyone else can shrink them for you. By 18, I left. By 22, I stopped calling. By 27, I had 3 whole years of silence, real peace. The kind of peace that makes you forget your shoulders ever used to live up by your ears. Then on a random Tuesday evening, that peace cracked open. I came home from work, kicked off my shoes, made tea, and opened my mail without thinking. Bills, a catalog, a flyer. And then an envelope that made my stomach sink before I even read it. A subpoena. It ordered me to appear in a court back in my home state as a witness in a civil case. Brielle Maddox Hale versus Serena Ortiz. Defamation. My sister was suing someone. Again. Brielle had always used courts the way some people use fists. When she didn't get her way, she escalated until someone flinched. I hadn't spoken to her in years, so I didn't even know what this case was about. My hands were shaking as I searched the name Serena Ortiz. I found a blog post, not famous, not viral, just detailed. It described a workplace pattern. Meetings Serena was excluded from, credit stolen, rumors spread, performance questioned with no evidence. Corporate cruelty until I reached the line that stopped my breathing. "She's done this since she was a kid," Serena wrote. Ask her sister about the spring allergy incident. Ask why her family spent years making sure nobody believed her. My skin went cold because the spring allergy incident wasn't allergy. It was an asthma attack. And almost nobody knew, so how did Serena? That night, I considered hiring an attorney just to get out of testifying. Then I sat at my kitchen table and realized something simple. My family had spent most of my life betting I'd stay quiet. What would happen if I did? I searched a name I hadn't typed in years, Tessa Kim. In high school, Tessa was the weird computer kid who got mocked for thrift store clothes and quiet posture. Brielle loved targeting her. I didn't have power back then, but I had one thing Brielle hated: the ability to treat someone like a human being. I used to sit with Tessa at lunch when nobody else would. Years later, I learned she'd become a digital forensics analyst, one of those people who digs truth out of places liars think are permanently cleaned. I called her, expecting awkwardness. She answered like we'd spoken yesterday. I told her I'd been subpoenaed. I told her Serena's blog mentioned my asthma attack. And Tessa said, without hesitation, "If they erased you, Lee, I can help you find the receipts." 2 days later, I was in Tessa's office. Small space, quiet hum of equipment, multiple monitors like watchful eyes. I pulled out the only thing I'd kept from that house, a tiny black USB drive, scuffed and old, labeled in my sister's handwriting, family backup, do not touch. I took it when I moved out because something in me couldn't stand the idea of leaving everything behind. I'd never plugged it in, just holding it made my palms sweat. Tessa raised her eyebrows. "Your sister labeled something do not touch," she said. "That's basically an invitation." She plugged it into a write blocker, something that prevents data from being altered. Her screen populated with folders, videos, photos. And then another folder I didn't expect, mail archive / home computer sync. Tessa leaned forward. "This is interesting," she murmured. "This isn't just media. This looks like a backup from an old family desktop. Email cache, message logs, even drafts." My stomach flipped. Because my mother used to brag about keeping records. She called it being organized. Now I wondered if it was something darker. Tessa opened a video file, a shaky clip, grainy, too bright. My childhood living room. I heard Brielle's voice, young, sharp, excited. The camera swung, and there I was on the rug, my own hands clawing, my own breathing ragged and desperate, coming through the speakers like a nightmare I didn't need remixed. I gripped the edge of the desk until my fingers hurt. On screen, Brielle stepped into the frame holding my inhaler. She dangled it, smiled, and said, "Ask nicely, maybe I'll save you." Then my mother's voice, calm as iced tea, "Stop, someone might hear." Not stop hurting her, stop because it could be seen. I swallowed hard. "That's enough," I whispered. Tessa didn't look away from the screen. "There's more," she said. She paused the video and zoomed in. "In the cabinet glass," she said quietly. "Look." The reflection showed something I hadn't noticed at 15. My father half standing behind the couch, his hand hovering like he wanted to move and then dropping. He chose stillness. And suddenly my childhood had a new detail. He knew and he decided. Then Tessa opened the email cache. I expected boring household stuff. I didn't expect a blueprint. Subject lines like Lee's episode. Handling Nana Joe. Narrative. School counselor follow-up. Lee's memory issues. Tessa clicked one dated 2 days after the asthma attack. From my mother to my sister. "We need to be aligned. Your father doesn't like conflict. Don't force him to pick sides." Another. "If Lee tells Joe anything, we deny it. Keep it simple. She was upset and overreacted." Another. "Stop leaving her letters where she can see them. She'll start thinking she has support." I read that line 3 times. Stop leaving her letters where she can see them. All those missing cards, the lost voicemails. The way my grandmother sometimes sounded confused, like she didn't know if I cared. It wasn't random. It was managed. Tessa's voice was steady when she said, "This is coordinated emotional abuse, Lee. It's not messy. It's not accidental. It's operational." I should have run. That's what the old version of me would have done. Minimize, disappear, keep the peace. But something changed while I stared at those emails. For the first time, the story in my head wasn't maybe I'm too sensitive. It was they built a system around my silence. So I told Tessa, "We're taking this to court." She nodded once. "Good," she said. "Metadata doesn't get nervous on the witness stand." Walking into that courthouse felt like walking back into a life I escaped. The hallways smelled like disinfectant and old paper. Everything echoed. I saw Serena Ortiz at the defense table, Small but steady, hands folded, eyes alert like she'd learned not to trust calm rooms. When she noticed me, her expression softened like she couldn't believe I actually showed up. Then the doors opened again. Brielle walked in like she owned the oxygen. Hair perfect, outfit tailored, expression designed for sympathy. My mother followed, calm smile in place. My father trailed behind, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes down like a man hoping the floor would swallow him whole. When Brielle saw me sitting beside the defense, her face did something I'd never seen before. It glitched, like her brain had to re-render reality. Brielle testified first. She described herself as kind, misunderstood, a mentor, a leader. She called Serena bitter. She called the blog a targeted smear campaign. And then, because Brielle can't help herself, she decided to use me. Her attorney said, "Your Honor, the plaintiff would like the court to note that the defendant has relied on claims from Ms. Hale's estranged sister, who has a documented history of emotional instability." There it was, the same old move. If they can't refute facts, they attack the person. The judge turned toward me. "Ms. Maddox," she said, "you are subpoenaed as a witness. Please approach." My legs felt heavy, but my voice didn't. I stood and walked to the stand like I was finally walking into my own life. Brielle's attorney tried to box me in. "Isn't it true you haven't spoken to your family in years?" "Yes. And isn't it true you've struggled with anxiety?" "Yes," I said evenly. "Many people do when they grow up in unsafe environments." He blinked at that. "And isn't it true you have a tendency to interpret events emotionally?" I looked at him. "My tendency," I said, "is to remember what happened." A murmur ran through the room. He smirked. "Your family expressed concerns about your stability, correct?" "They expressed it to other people," I replied. "Never to me, never with a professional evaluation. It wasn't concern. It was reputation management." That landed because adults in court recognize corporate language, and reputation management is exactly what my mother did for a living. Serena's attorney stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to introduce authenticated digital evidence recovered and verified by a certified forensic analyst." The judge nodded. "Proceed." Tessa walked to the display screen with the calm of someone who trusts computers more than humans. She started with the emails, dates, timestamps, sender addresses, attachments. My mother's words preserved in plain text. The judge read silently for a moment. Brielle's smile tightened. My mother sat perfectly still, like stillness could erase ink. Then Tessa said, "And now, Your Honor, we have a video file. The original with metadata consistent with the date and device model." No edits detected. The judge's gaze sharpened. "Play it." The footage filled the screen. There I was at 15 on the rug. The sound of my gasping hit the courtroom like a slap. I heard someone in the gallery whisper, "Oh my God." Brielle's young voice rang out, "Ask nicely, maybe I'll save you." Then my mother's voice, "Stop, someone might hear." And my father, barely audible, "Brielle, come on." He sounded weak, but he was there, he knew. As the video played, the courtroom changed. People weren't watching drama. They were witnessing neglect with a timestamp. And then it happened. Right before the clip ended, the camera jerked toward the hallway like someone had walked in unexpectedly. A voice cut through the audio, sharp and furious. "What in God's name is happening in here?" The courtroom froze. Because I recognized that voice instantly. Nana Jo. In the video, she stormed into frame, ripped the inhaler from Brielle's hand, and screamed, "Call an ambulance. Now, if she dies, I swear I will bury you with the truth." The clip ended on my mother's face, white, horrified, not because I was struggling to breathe, but because she'd been caught. My eyes burned, not from sadness, from vindication. Because for 15 years, I'd wondered if Nana Jo would have believed me. She didn't just believe me. She saw it with her own eyes. Brielle stood up so fast her chair screeched. That's manipulated," she stammered. "That's not she always, Lee always." The judge raised a hand. "Ms. Hale," she said firmly, "sit down." Brielle didn't sit. Her voice climbed into a crack. "You don't understand what it was like. She was always ruining everything, always needing attention." My mother reached for her arm. "Brielle," she hissed, but Brielle yanked away like my mother was poison. And suddenly, the golden child looked exactly like what she was. A person who'd been taught cruelty was normal and consequences were optional. The judge looked at the screen again, then down at the emails, then directly at Brielle. "I'm going to be very clear," she said. "This court is not here to host family theater, but we are here to assess credibility." She paused. "Based on this evidence, the plaintiff's credibility is severely compromised." Brielle's attorney started to speak, but the judge cut him off. "And furthermore," she continued, "the defense's characterization of a pattern of targeted mistreatment is supported by documentation." Then she said the words I'll remember for the rest of my life. "This case is dismissed. Costs to the plaintiff." The gavel hit. Done. Brielle sat down like someone unplugged her. My mother stared forward, expression locked. My father looked at the floor like it had answers. Outside the courtroom, everything moved too fast, people walking, doors opening, life continuing like it was a normal day. Brielle's attorney rushed her away. My mother tried to follow, but Brielle yanked her arm free again and hissed something I couldn't hear. Then my father approached me. His voice was small. "Lee," he said, "I'm sorry." I studied him, and the weird thing was I didn't feel the urge to yell. I felt tired. "You should have been," I said quietly, "a long time ago." He nodded once like he didn't deserve more, and I didn't give him more, because peace isn't the same thing as access. I walked down the courthouse steps with Serena and Tessa, and for the first time in my life, I felt like the air belonged to me. People think that's the end, but it was. Because once those emails and that video entered the legal record, they became real in a way my family couldn't argue with. No more, "You're remembering wrong." No more, "You're too sensitive." No more, "Why can't you just let it go?" When Nana Jo passed later that year, there was another fight, this one over what she left behind. Brielle had expected to inherit almost everything because she'd been the one who stayed close. But Nana Jo had left a letter in a safe deposit box, dated years earlier, saying she suspected someone was interfering with our communication. And when Tessa dug deeper into the backup, she found drafts and deleted messages. My sister talking about keeping Nana Jo away from me, keeping me isolated, keeping the story controlled. A probate court doesn't care how charming you are. It cares about fraud. It cares about deception. It cares about patterns. Brielle was ordered to return what she'd taken control of, money she'd spent like it was already hers, upgrades she posted online, little lifestyle trophies that suddenly had to be paid back. My mother didn't go to jail. But she lost the thing she worshipped most, her spotless image. People stopped inviting her to lead committees. Friends became busy. Neighbors who used to wave started looking away. The social world she curated for decades quietly shut its doors. My father emailed me once after that, not asking forgiveness. Not asking to start fresh. Just a paragraph admitting what he did and didn't do. I didn't reply, not because I hate him, because my life isn't a punishment. It's mine. I used to think closure meant someone finally apologizing the right way. I don't think that anymore. Closure, for me, was watching the truth exist outside my body, on a screen, in a courtroom, in public, where it couldn't be edited by the people who benefited from my silence. These days, I volunteer with a local group that helps adults who grew up in emotionally abusive homes, especially the ones who still question whether it counts because nobody hit them. It counts. If your nervous system grew up in a war zone, it counts. If you were erased with smiles and silence, it counts. And if this story hit something in you, if you recognized that cold, polished kind of harm, just know this, you're not crazy. You were trained to doubt yourself. There's a difference. And on epic Reddit files, we don't let the truth disappear. If you've ever been the problem, child in a family full of problems, you're not alone.